Hey folks, how's it going? All Angle Sports Investment here with Steve Wish and Ashley Waite. We weren't guaranteed to do the show tonight, but we thought, why not? We've had a fairly good day. We've had a fairly good week, to be honest with you, on these shows. I know you've done very well personally, Ashley. Solid enough Saturday. The Brighton match certainly served as well, didn't it?
It did. They were battering on the metrics, and you had them to score twice at an amazing price. I just needed them to score once. I was getting a little bit nervous there, which I had really no reason to be based on the metrics. But yeah, they were missing chances and everything. But in the end, they came through for both of us. So that was a really glad they showed up today for us.
I think if Brighton had not scored the second goal, we might not be doing this show because I'd have been drowning in my sorrows, in my tears.
I know you were pissed. You kept messaging me about how much. Yeah, you were messaging me.
You have no idea the amount of chances that side. If Brighton actually took their chances, they would murder teams. Like at some point before the end of the season, I think they're going to knock 5 or 6 past someone, at least one team.
They should have today. I mean,
right. The goal that won it for them was, I've never really heard of him much. He's like a 19-year-old wonder kid. That's one of the best goals I've ever seen to actually win me a pick. I couldn't believe it. Like, no one saving it. It was, but the amount of really good chances they missed. They hit the post about 3 times. So if I had not cashed with that over team total, which was a massive price, I would have been pretty distraught. But hey,
because that was a great price, and you were 100% on the right side of that one. So you deserve that one for sure.
Yeah, you had a very good double winner with the both teams to score. Central Coast Mariners. We've got another play in Australia, which we must remind people about. It involves a goal scorer in the Adelaide game. Check out our Twitter feed. I did clip Ash's one for there on the goal scorer. And we're halfway through, hopefully, a winning double with myself in Scandinavia, Elfsborg and Brand team totals. Just need 2 Brand goals, and that will convert because Elfsborg battered Bromma-Poikina 5-0. And yes, I did just say that because I love saying that name.
Yeah, they didn't Elfsborg hit that team total like in the first 19, 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was done very honestly. It could have been 9 or 10-0.
Yeah.
Oh, not nil, but to be fair, Bromma-Poikina actually should have scored. But you don't. They're a team I'm going to be betting against every week in terms of goals, or betting on the over totals. But I don't think after today there's going to be much value left because the books are aware how poor they are defensively. So it was a solid enough Saturday. And we move on to Sunday here. This might not be quite such a long show compared to yesterday's, but there's plenty of spicy fixtures across the board. I'm going to just start things off by reminding viewers of a match that I'm involved with some cards in. We talked about this yesterday, but for anyone watching again, it is Brest against Nice. I am really fancying a bit of the Brest cards in this game because I think they're going to be really committed. Just want to remind people the 2 names that I'm on at big prices: Pierre-Lys Melou to be carded at plus 450, and Kenny Lala, the wonderfully named Kenny Lala, to be carded at plus 800. So yeah, I think all eyes on a bit of Brest tomorrow in France, Ashley.
As it should be.
Indeed. And they're quite a good underdog as well. So I just thought I'd remind the viewers of that one. Now, you've got an interesting little treble here, and I'm going to put it on the screen now. We've got Ajax's team total against Emmen, I do believe. I've not actually looked into that game. Monaco to score at least 1 goal against Lorient, and then Arsenal draw no bet at minus 130. Now, there's plenty. Certainly 2 of these games, probably all 3, quite interesting to talk about for the day. I'm sure I'll give my opinions on the latter 2. But starting with Ajax's team total, I'm not going to get involved here. It's not a league I really follow much, but it sounds like it should be fairly straightforward for them just to get the 2 goals or more.
I'm hoping so. They are playing this Emmen side, and Ajax, I don't go back any further than 5 head-to-heads, but they've put up at least 2 and actually more than 2 in the last 5 head-to-heads versus the side. So, yeah, all 3 of these by themselves are pretty pricey. So I'm you guys are kind of catching on probably to the fact that I'm not someone who does doubles and trebles looking to get rich quick and hit big money. I just like to move the lines to where I'm comfortable. And if I get a winner out of it, I'll take that every day. So Ajax to score twice. I would be very surprised if that doesn't happen. Monaco to score. I can see Monaco scoring multiple goals here, but I'm just going to be super safe. You guys know, so I'm 2-1 so far with the goal scorer of Craig Goodwin still pending. So hopefully, either way, we'll profit a little bit, even if he doesn't score off my picks. But I am a little jaded from today. I kind of alluded on the show yesterday to the fact that with Benfica coming off of that important loss, I tend to stay away from teams like that. So one of two things would happen. They would either feel sorry for themselves or they would come out with a purpose, right? And want to head into that second leg with some confidence. Unfortunately, it was the first of those options. They played absolutely dreadful, ended up losing, which since they didn't cover for us, I'm glad that they did. So a little bit gun shy, just going with the safe options here. So yeah, Monaco just to score. I think they score a couple, if you want to make your odds a little better, but these are my official plays. Arsenal draw no bet. Yet again, I think that they win. They are on the road to West Ham, a team that just is just not impressive at all, right? They just played Ghent in Europa and struggled there. So Arsenal in great form. Just taking the cowardly route. Them on a draw no bet is cheaper than them just to score. So yeah, altogether it's juicy at -130, but don't care. I give plenty of plus money plays. This is around the high end of the juice that I will play. But if I really love a play, sometimes you lay the juice for a reason, right? It's giving you good statistical odds to hit it. So I think we have a really good shot at all three of these. And, I don't really think any of these is something that's going to have to make me nervous like that Benfica match stressed me out today. So, yeah, taking this treble at -130, and hopefully each of these legs comes in for us. And then the juice doesn't matter. It only matters what the juice is if you lose. So.
Yeah, I want to remind viewers here, especially those over in Europe, that we are actually on this show, on anything minus money, we are playing to win a unit. Yes. So it's not a case of if we get in a price of say 1 to 2, which would be -200, we're having one unit on it, and we would win half a unit. It's not a case of that. Everything on the minuses here. It's the way that a lot of handicappers are calculated in America, and I actually prefer it that way as well. Yeah. So anything minus money, you basically playing for a unit or half, however you're playing it, but it's not to do with the way the European odds work. And it's interesting there that I wasn't going to mention the Benfica word, but you have brought it up, so fair play. How do you sort of mentally now? I know that you were a bit annoyed with yourself for taking them. Do you just sort of move on and forget about it? Do you give yourself a slap on the wrist? How do you sort of approach a pick that you're really disappointed in?
Well, so no, I'm not beating myself up over it. Should they have won? Yeah, they should. I mean, when you look at like Gonzalo Ramos, he didn't even have a shot. So that right there is the only stat that you need to look at to see that they were feeling sorry for themselves. They could have easily handled that team. But, when there's so many matches to choose from anyway, especially on a Saturday, I just have this rule and it's a lesson learned. So I'm kind of glad I picked it just to remind myself why, no matter how good a match looks to me, don't break certain rules that I have for myself. I always say stay away from teams coming off of, like I've said several times already, coming off of an important loss. That loss to Inter, they sat there and didn't really care much today. So instead of rolling the dice that they would care versus a side that, yes, they could beat, I should have picked something else. So that's completely on me. So no, I mean, I'm not beating myself up. I move on from it. I more would like to beat them up just for, they got paid to play today. And that was an abysmal performance. But just move along from it. It's not, I mean, it's the right side numbers wise, even when you look at the metrics after the match. But just a reminder that when you set these little rules for yourself, stick to it.
Right, yeah. Welcome in, Drew Clark. Michael Winstanley has said that apparently Pierre-Lise Malou is going to miss out in the Brest game due to an accumulation of bookings. I've just checked their Twitter feed. Apparently he is. I've looked into his data. He's only had 8 yellow cards, so I don't know why he's actually suspended. They have some weird rules, though. To be fair, I hadn't actually checked the team news for the game. Yeah, unfortunately, he is ruled out, according to their Twitter feed. So, yeah, that's a void bet already because he's not going to be playing. That's a shame. So,
hey, shows you it was a good pick. You're picking a guy to be booked who can't play because he has too many bookings. So,
well, do you know what? Next match they play, watch he'll want to get in the book again. So, next week, remind me to take him. I would say Kenny Lala certainly. All rests on Lala's shoulders now. He's got to get stuck in even more, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, good old Lala better come through for us. Drew, you can't hear us. It's probably on your end because Drew is now talking about himself in third person, says he is drunk and high as hell. Well, Drew, I'm not drunk and high as hell, but I wish I were. I am having medication issues though, so I'm right there with you. You and I are on the same wavelength.
Well, thank you anyway, Michael, for pointing that out. I've not got around to actually inputting the teams into my spreadsheet yet for Sunday's games for the team news. But yeah, that's a bit disappointing because I really fancied him to get booked in this game against his one of his former clubs as well. So a bit of a shame for Pierre.
I've never even heard of him. The only thing I can say about Pierre-Lise Malou is that is literally by far the most.
You've never heard of him? He played for Norwich City for 37 games for Norwich City.
I did. I don't know. I still don't know who.
You're a Norwich City fan,
but
I just hard. Right?
Not die hard. So like, because I'm ordering me a Toulouse jersey, a Saint-Gilloise jersey. I like these teams, right, that are middle of the pack. They get promoted, then they get slapped back down. I just like pulling for underdogs. So I'm a Norwich fan, but I can't by any means quote you their history or anything like that.
I'm winding you up there.
The only thing I'm a diehard fan of is Alabama Crimson Tide college football, and that's it.
I'm going to talk to you on tomorrow's show about betting on Alabama games, actually.
Go for it.
Because we're going to be talking about Leeds-Liverpool, and Leeds obviously being my team. And I wanted to have a little bit of discussion about how you approach betting on a team that you're really close to, because I find it difficult sometimes, but also very easy on other occasions if you're obviously doing very well on the team. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I just want to talk about this Monaco game against Lorient. I was really close to pressing the button on a handicap on Monaco because I got the feeling they might smash them. Lorient have got very little to play for now, and really they're on the beach. They're going to be down on the south coast of France enjoying themselves, I think, traveling for this game. And Monaco, if they really are focused, and that is a big if because they're not always focused, they sometimes just fall asleep. They should put up several goals on them. And, look, I think Ben Yedder is actually minus money to score in this game. Fine with the books, not stupid. But he hasn't scored in his last 2, so he's due. So it could be the sort of game where he really kicks off. Arsenal, West Ham against Arsenal. Now, you were following the metrics, weren't you, on Thursday night in the Europa Conference? I mean, Ghent absolutely smoked West Ham. It was only a draw. But, I mean, West Ham, I don't get what's happened to that team this year because they should be on paper mid-table with their ability on the squad. But their performances have been horrendous, haven't they? I mean, I really think Arsenal do a job on them.
I mean, hope so. Because I think I could shoot for more value here, especially on the Arsenal leg of this treble. But yeah, I don't know. But sometimes, like that's kind of what I was expecting out of Fulham today too. Like we were talking about, you use that same analogy of that they don't really have much to play for. They're middle of the table and safe, so they're just already on the beach, right? So I kind of gave Everton a shot today, and of course, Fulham puts up 2 pretty quickly on them. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really ever get super confident in any pick in the EPL, but if Arsenal can't at least avoid losing here, then I'll probably just never bet this league again.
It is a London derby, but I've got to be honest. I think what I've seen of West Ham this season, I just don't think they're playing particularly well. A couple of
Well, they're jinxed. I jinxed them. I don't believe in superstition, but I did get a voodoo doll because they took my Gianluca Scamacca, who was my, favorite player for my favorite Serie A side, and they stole him. I'm tired of the Premier League stealing all of my.
He's been injured nearly all year.
Yeah, right. That's the jinx too. They should have left him alone. They're trying to do that now with Victor Osimhen and Kvaratskhelia too. So they need to stop stealing all those Italian players.
There was a story coming out in the last week that they basically tried to rush him back from injury by giving him injections, and now that hasn't worked, and he's having to have surgery. So I think he might be well done for the whole season. But I'll tell you a price that did. I'm not actually going to tip it on this show yet, but Gabriel Jesus is plus 190 to score any time in this game for Arsenal. He's back at full fitness now. He's leading the line. He's confident. And, I know they have been rotating the strikers around a bit. And Trossard sometimes has been playing up front. But I think Jesus gets a good 75, 80 minutes here. And if he can't score on this West Ham team in that period, I think he would be disappointed.
Yeah, in taking him to score, that's a fantastic price. But also, I may look at him shots wise, right? Like mixing him in with something to have, a couple of shots or something like that. Because I think that is a good look. Maybe mixing shots with him and Martinelli or something.
All right, the treble is on the screen there. Ajax team total over 1.5 goals. Monaco just to score a goal. 1 goal from them will do for this treble. And Arsenal draw no bet. Minus 130 treble from Ashley for advised for Sunday. Remember her playing the A-League as well. Goodwin anytime score in the Adelaide game. Going back to a play that I'm going to talk about a couple of games now in Scandinavia for Sunday. I'm going to go to Sweden. It's actually a league that's been serving me quite well this year so far. I feel I've got some good reads in this league. And Halmstad against Djurgården, and I'm going with the away team on a minus 0.25 Asian handicap. One of my favourite handicaps, actually, this, Ashley. You know me, I don't like all or nothing. Give me a chance of a push or a half loss any day of the week, a bit like you with your half wins.
Yeah.
But they really should be beating Halmstad. They're a newly promoted team. They've actually been involved in 2 over games, but normally they don't offer much. And the only doubt really here is that Djurgården are going to have to use their second string goalkeeper because the number 1 suspended. But I don't think he's going to be tested much. So Djurgården have got 4 points on the board. They really, as I say, there's a big gulf in class between these two sides. They drew 0-0 on the away last week at Sirius, but they had 10 men for the second half because the goalkeeper got sent off.
Right.
So I think they're going to want to. I think they'll learn some lessons from that game. It's a similar sort of game where they'll play a defensive team. Hopefully, they have 11 men throughout the whole contest this time, and they should. It really worried me for Halmstad. They lost 3-1 to a team called Degerfors last week. And Degerfors,
aren't they? They're pretty bad.
Yeah, you can't be conceding 3 goals to Degerfors.
Yeah, right.
You've got problems, and they could have been quite a few more. So, yeah, if they produce that sort of defensive performance, they're going to struggle here. So I think I expected Djurgården to be like minus 130 just to win on money line. So we're getting probably 1 line of value, as we say, on the Asian terms. If it's a draw, we only lose half. We don't want to lose half, but it's better than losing it all. So
yeah, I was eyeing that one before we went live. So looking over some, I like that team, and that was almost one of my plays. But yeah, that's one of the few teams in that league that I get on a decent amount. Not yet, because like I said, waiting for a couple of match days. But I probably will here, playing a newly promoted side. And it doesn't sound like, from what you're saying, that this Halmstad, even if Djurgården are using a backup keeper, it doesn't sound like they're the team to exploit that. So,
well, backup keepers, you just never know with them. They can sometimes be quite decent, actually. They're not going to be complete mugs, are they?
Well, they should be. I mean, they're still paid to play, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I don't actually know who the backup is. I don't think I've even seen him in action, but hopefully he won't have much to do. Djurgården there. I really am eyeing up the game on Monday, actually, as well. IFK Gothenburg against Malmo. We'll talk about that in a show tomorrow. But I'm going to move to Norway now. It's actually a really tricky card. what we really want from Norway is 2 goals from Brann, and that will complete a plus 138 double that we advised yesterday. But I'm looking into a game here, Strømsgodset against Arsenal. Now, normally, I would just really pass this match by. I wouldn't really give it too much thought. I'd just leave it alone. Second round of the season. But Godset did not play last week. Their match was postponed, and the reason was, incredibly, but 10 or more of their squad had COVID. Now, it's the first COVID postponement I've seen in any sport for a long time. I mean, wasn't COVID meant to have supposedly gone as such? Or certainly, you deal with it in this sort of way. So I was surprised to hear this, but they've got rules up there. If this happens, the match gets postponed. But let's think about it. The preparation they're going to have had is not going to be good, is it?
It doesn't sound like it. I was curious about you taking that big money line because Strømsgodset is usually one of the teams that I do like to bet. I would look at that more. It's like a both teams to score type match. But yeah, with the COVID issues, that's why it pays to do your research.
Strømsgodset. I tell you, with Strømsgodset, there's more questions about Strømsgodset than the Riddler in Batman. Like, seriously, like they've got a brand new
before the COVID issues.
They've got a new manager this season, a brand new system. There's. I don't really know which way they get. They might be. If they turn up and they're brilliant here, then it wouldn't completely shock me. That's why I'm advising Arlesson on the money line at a big price. Now, I wouldn't really feel comfortable staking, say, a full unit on them on a plus a half Asian handicap because they could get beaten. But I think they could come here. They've had obviously a competitive game last week, which they only just lost. And I think they actually beat Godset twice last year in the league as well. I'm not a big fan of head-to-heads, but I think that will help them mentally. And they're going to unleash their main new signing, the striker called Isaac Atanga, who now it's an interesting case here, actually. He actually comes in from FC Cincinnati from MLS. Now, his scoring record in MLS hasn't been particularly good, but I've had several people tell me that this guy has got a bit of X factor about him, and he could be something special, and he might tear apart the Eliteserien. Isaac Atanga, he's actually plus 380 to score anytime if anyone does fancy really chancing their arm on him. Now, I've never seen really this guy play. He did hit the post with an effort last week. He came off the bench. It does worry me that he can't score that many goals in MLS. But
yeah, because right. I mean, you and I probably would have a decent shot to score in the MLS. Is he like a really young guy?
He's a Ghanaian. I'm not actually sure how old he is. I'm going to search him up now.
So he's not like one of these like wonder kid 18-year-olds or whatever.
Was Isaac Atanga? He's 22, so he's still pretty damn young. In fairness to him, I think that there's been times during his career where he's been seen as this sort of wonder kid. Now, for whatever reason, it didn't work out at Cincinnati particularly well. He's had a few loans as well. And but I think when he was in the Super League and in Denmark, he showed quite a few good things. He looked quite good off the bench last week, and I think if they unleash him on Godset, he's physically strong. He could be the one that gets him the win. But and
I'd be curious to see if they viewed him at times in the U.S. as a wonder kid. I would be curious to see how he does in Europe, because it could be a case of playing at Cincinnati. His teammates probably don't know how to pass him the damn ball. I mean, they look like a bunch of clowns running around out there. So if he's surrounded by European players, that if you're surrounded by better players, that steps up your play too. So maybe he is actually really good.
Yeah, I'm just looking at his record now. In 2021, he played 1,026 minutes for Cincinnati, scored just 1 goal. That's worrying. Last season, he ended up on loan in Turkey at a club called Göztepe, whoever they are.
Yeah.
And I think that's the second Liga. That's not even the top league, I don't think. Or are they? I don't know. Anyway, 1 goal in 15 appearances there as well. So that is, his statistics are worrying. But from what the several people keep telling me, this player has got something about him who, if he's in the right place someone can mold him into a goal scorer. So let's wait and see with Isaac Atanga. There's a lot of question marks in this game. We may well get some answers from.
I'm going to try to watch that one. Keep an eye on him because he's probably after a few matches when he gets over the shock of like people actually passing him the ball correctly, he might start to turn it on. So.
What I'll say about this pick, Ashley, it might only need one goal because Arlesund are a good defensive team. And they've got a manager who is pragmatic. So it might only take one goal and they win the game. So that's kind of what I quite like about the money line as well here. It's a little bit of a stab, but at plus 281, you don't have to stake $1 million on it, do you? So
right, yeah,
an interesting game to sort of finish off this podcast with live show, YouTube show. Thank you very much for anyone. Actually, closing comments from you, Ashley, for Sunday. Anything else you got to add?
No, I may tweet something out. I'm still going over the slate. It's not quite as many. I was thinking there were a few singles I might like. Not quite as much on the slate that I'm loving tomorrow, other than things to put in doubles and trebles. But there are still a couple. I'm looking at maybe ways to play the Celtic match. So possibly Bodo. So I may even tweet out some live plays because I do that pretty much all day long. So a couple that I'm eyeing, not too terribly many though.
We will be back. We've got another show tomorrow night. We're going to talk about Leeds and Liverpool. I'm just looking now. We've got Mallorca in action. I wonder what I might eye up in their game. Fiorentina against Atalanta sounds quite a tasty clash in Serie A. And then there's leagues around the world as well. We might find some interest on Sweden's in playing a bit as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can find an obscure league for us as well, Ashley. But
I'll be having some probably. Yeah. China's Super League's back on, so that's a good thing.
And thanks very much to anyone who's been watching the last week or so. Actually, not just today. Appreciate you all coming in, Drew. Michael, thanks very much for the correction with me with the Pierre-Lise Malou pick there. That's become a void. Hannah, appreciate your comments as always as well. And Ashley, of course, I always appreciate you. So
I always appreciate you.
We will see everyone again tomorrow, all being well. But best of luck with whatever you're taking on Sunday. Smash it. Everyone, smash it.
Smash it. See you tomorrow.